Out of the horrors of nuclear devastation, a flower blossomed to revitalize humanity. Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism.
Well, people, they work and 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 work. That's true.
If you think a spell of apathy will chase away the blues, you're wrong. Only a true grasp of our eternity can bring happiness.
Now, Jones, the reason I've called you into the office this afternoon is that the management and I are very pleased with your work. And we'd like to hold a dinner in your honour to thank you for all your hard work and also to discuss your future prospects. What do you think of that?
Right. Emma, you have a problem. And you're going to be seeing me for the next 10 weeks. So, we'll go into all aspects of the problems that you've got. Emma! Hello.
Hello.
Take a seat.
Every time I try and do something about it, people say I'm wasting my time, and so I just give up. It just carries on like that time and time again. It's just depressing. Hiya.
Hello. Well, this is a big transformation, isn't it? I mean, last week there you were, and now suddenly you're bouncing all bright and breezy. I mean, what's with the big change?
I've been chanting.
Sorry?
Chanting, you know, Buddhism.
Yes, I know Buddhism, yes.
Well, I decided to give it a go, and I've been feeling better since then.
Oh, right. Well, what do you chant?
Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. You ever heard of it?
Not that one, no. I haven't heard of that one, no.
Well, I'm just a beginner at the moment, but I sit down in front of a blank wall and say it over and over, like Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, for 10 minutes or so.
It's working now, mate.
Thanks.
It was him that told me about it.
Really? Good Lord. Leave it! Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, Nam-myoho Renge-kyo.
Oh, really? Has she got what she wanted? Yeah. Who did she want Francis for?
When nothing seems to go right at work, chanting can help you to feel right.
Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism is all about gaining things. It's all about being responsible for your own life, so no one tells you to give up anything. There's no God who, or people who tell you must and must not do this, that and the other. Once you start chanting, you realise that you can do anything you want to, and what's more, you can be happy doing anything.
Patrick Duffy, Tina Turner, Herbie Hancock, Peter Dean, Suzanne Vega, Pepsi. Practice Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism and chant for world peace.
No war has ever been fought in the name of Buddhism.
I've been practicing Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism for 2.5 years. I was introduced to the practice by a guitar player that was with the group Wham. From that time of going to all the meetings and everything and putting 100% into everything I did, like my practice, my work, it affected everything, my environment, my family life, my relationship, my cats, everything. I don't sort of push all my problems underneath the carpet anymore. I deal with them. And that is the first thing with this Buddhism, is to deal with all your problems and realise that your problems come about by yourself. It's actually not from other people. You actually bring all your problems to yourself and you can actually deal with that. The most important thing for me is to be happy, to deal with my problems, live my life, respect other people and respect myself. And I think that is Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism.
Well, basically, my mother's been practicing Buddhism for 13 years, and for the first 7, 8 years of that, I really fought against it, because I felt, I mean, it was a very strange situation. I was in the middle of Surrey, and suddenly I come from a one-parent family, and this woman was practicing Buddhism, and it was very alien to me. So I went quite heavily into Christianity. But eventually, after failing 13 O-levels, situations led to the fact that I needed something else, something to really bring out my courage and confidence. So I started chanting. And I found that once I started chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, I was able to really reveal my wisdom and courage to do what I wanted to do.
Don't you think this was just a result of adopting a more positive approach to your life and nothing to do with Buddhism at all?
The situation I was in, I couldn't suddenly have adopted a positive approach to my life. I felt extremely defeated. All my friends were going on to do A-levels, and they've all subsequently gone to Oxford and Cambridge.
But surely if you were just taking 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes at night, just sitting, psyching yourself up and saying, I can do it, building your confidence up, you'd be able to do it, instead of chanting. You don't see you could do the same thing, you know, and do this, actually build up your own confidence.
I can see what you're saying. It's if you stand there and you say, I will be positive, I will be positive, absolutely, I don't deny you can do it. But that isn't changing karma.
Can I just ask what the chanting is? Sorry, what is the chanting?
What are the words? The syllables are Nam Myoho Renge Kyo.
And what do they mean?
As a whole, it means I dedicate my life to the mystic law of cause and effect with the vibration of my voice.
So saying that over and over again helps you in some sort of way?
Definitely. I mean, the thing is, the point of chanting is to bring up your Buddha nature, and Buddha nature consists of compassion, wisdom and courage. So it's nothing magical. You're merely bringing out your best qualities in life, your best potential. What I'm saying is that Nichiren Daishonin studied Shakyamuni's teachings. Shakyamuni was the first recorded Buddha. Nichiren Daishonin studied his teachings, and Shakyamuni stated that all of the teachings I expound before the Lotus Sutra are provisional teachings, are teachings which will lead me up to the Lotus Sutra. So all other teachings...
Sorry, the terms you're using, can you explain it a bit more
Definitely.
simply? It's very difficult because...
Okay, the Lotus Sutra is the sutra that we believe in, okay? It is... We practice... We do
Sorry,
a prayer
what is
called
this
Gongyo.
Lotus Sutra? It's a book, isn't it?
It's teachings, they are writings by Nichiren Daishonin.
I see.
And he studied all of the previous Buddhist sutras, all of them.
So you chant that chant to one book, which is a summary of all other forms of Buddhism?
I don't understand what you mean by chant to one book. I don't chant to a book.
Oh, right. So when you say...
You have a book, don't you chant you have something in Gohonzon, which is like the small holy altar you chant too.
I have...
Isn't there, we understood there's a scroll or something
That's
in
right.
there.
The Gohonzon is a scroll. The Gohonzon was inscribed when Nichiren Daishonin was in a Buddha state, which is, as I've already explained, it is basically the highest state of life through bringing out wisdom, compassion and courage. Nichiren Daishonin inscribed the Gohonzon. We chant to that. That is the visual form of Buddhahood.
So is there something special or supernatural about chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo?
Not at all.
It's not supernatural or
It's
something?
not...
I'm sorry.
Okay, it's not... Can I answer this?
Yeah, but didn't you say it was the ultimate law of life?
It is the ultimate law of life.
But isn't that special and supernatural?
Isn't that...
Special and supernatural.
It's not supernatural, it's mystic, because we don't always understand everything. There is a difference. How can I explain that? Gravity. Gravity is mystic. We don't understand it. There's a formula for gravity, but we don't fully understand it.
But
what
I
you're
know...
saying is you don't understand?
Pardon?
But
No,
you don't
I'm not
understand.
saying that. What I'm saying is that... Let me just explain. With gravity, okay, we know it exists, right? So if I take a pound coin and I let go of the pound coin, it drops. I don't understand why it drops, but I know it drops because that's the law of life. The law of life is you let go of something, it falls. Okay? It's the same with Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. People don't understand how it works, but it is the law of life, and it does work.
Okay, what I just want to get at is why you do this particular chant rather than do other meditation practices. Because I do meditation practices which come from earlier phases in the Buddhist tradition. Now, as I understand it, Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism says that all of those kinds of Buddhism are outdated, outmoded, and that those practices are not of practical effect anymore. Is that your position?
In the Lotus Sutra, Shakyamuni stated that all my other teachings are provisional teachings, and they are leading people up to this time.
What do you mean? What do you mean by provisional
Can I make a
teachings?
point?
Yeah, can I just
The Lotus
finish what I
Sutra
was
was
saying?
written 1,000 years after Shakyamuni died.
Yes. It was written after Shakyamuni died. Nichiren Daishonin wrote it studying all of his teachings. Shakyamuni stated that a man would be born...
I'm sorry,
Can I finish?
Shakyamuni didn't state because he was dead.
Shakyamuni stated when he was alive that a man would be born in a certain time. He actually stated a 500-year period. He said this man would be born between this time and this time. And that was the time Nichiren Daishonin was born. He stated that this man would be born and would expound the ultimate law of life through studying all my previous teachings, which is what Nichiren Daishonin did.
I'm sorry, but all of what you just said has just gone right in one ear and it's
Okay.
gone right out the
Yeah.
other. It's all really
Yeah.
technical.
It's-
All we want to know is, you're saying that you chant Nam Yo Rieng
Yo-ho,
whatever. Sorry,
Renge
yeah, I
Kyo.
have difficulty saying it.
It's not that
and
difficult.
And you say it, and it actually alters your whole life. But you're saying that this isn't some kind of a magical formula. And what we want to know is, I mean, what would you say to the accusation or the charge that, in fact, it's really no different from any other form of meditation? And so why do you reject those other forms of meditation if you do?
I'm not saying it doesn't for no reason change your life. I've said it brings out your Buddha nature, which is wisdom, compassion and courage. So if you have an amazing amount of wisdom and compassion, I'm not saying I do, but if one does have an amazing amount of wisdom and compassion and courage, one can't help but change one's life. If I'm really, can I just finish what I'm saying? If I'm really, if I feel really devastated about failing all of my O-levels, and I start chanting, and courage comes up in my life to say, you know, I'm not going to be beaten. I'm going to go to college and I'm going to take my 3 A-levels and I'm going to decide to go to university and I do it.
So you still haven't given absolutely any reason as to why this is different from any other form of meditation.
Right, okay. It comes back to the fact that chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo is the ultimate law of life. I'll explain that. I'll give an example. You change karma through cause and effect. Is karma. Karma is made up of cause and effect. You make a cause, you get the effect. Okay? Chanting changes karma. Now, I can stand here and try and convince you for hours, but only by you trying it will you ultimately know that it works.
Question and answer.
So, you want me to explain karma? Karma's made up of cause and effect.
What do you mean by cause and effect?
Everything we do is a cause, and through that there is an effect. So
that's your belief.
That's a fact.
No, it's not a fact.
You're
absolutely wrong there, I'm afraid, because philosophers and scientists, it's a huge ongoing debate whether there is a fact or whether there is a necessary connection between cause and effect. It's by no means a fact.
I disagree with you there.
It might be your belief, but you obviously haven't read both sides of the argument, because I have, and you know, you may believe that there's a necessary connection and a cause and effect, but it's never been
So you
proved.
have a faith that you're saying, you're trying to sell us this thing where Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, and that'll bring about a cause which is like sending out a signal to the whole wavelength of life. That'll come back, tune into you, and your whole life will get better. So if you say Nam-myoho Renge Kyo with the idea of a push in mind, you'll get this push. I don't buy that.
No, I don't blame you for not buying that. It sounds very magical, and I'm not trying to say it's magical at all. What I'm saying is whether you practice or not, if you make a cause, I'll just say what I feel, and if you disagree, say so afterwards.
Beliefs about it.
Right. I believe that whether you practice or not, if you make a cause, you get the effect. If I step out in front of a speeding bus, I'm making the cause to be run over.
Right.
If the bus can't stop in time, it runs me over. That's cause and effect. If I stick my hand into a fire, I'm making the cause for my hand to be burnt, whether I practice or not.
But if you throw a stone at the window, it might not be shattered as you might have expected.
Absolutely. I'm not saying that everything will happen, but every cause has an effect. It may not be the effect you're expecting, but it has an effect. How can something you do not result in anything?
So does chanting always have a positive effect on things? Is that what the aim is to change things positively?
Yes, the aim of chanting is to change things positively, to bring out your best potential.
So chanting now will positively affect this TV programme?
Yes, it would do. Who's to say this TV programme isn't being positive anyway?
Right, yeah.
It sounds very selfish that you're just doing it for yourself, like, or do you... Just for yourself, like, you know, or do you not do it for world peace or what?
My main aim, the main reason for practicing Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism is for world peace. I practice for world peace. I chant every day. One of my own desires is for peace in Northern Ireland and in the Lebanon.
Yes, what physically are you doing? I mean, chanting, I mean, everybody prays for world peace, but...
Do they?
Why all Christian churches love one another. All churches say they want world peace.
But they still fight.
I'm just a bit concerned about
but they're making an effort physically in some form or other. They all say they're making an effort physically. What does your beliefs do physically to do something about, rather than do they just chant, or are they doing anything physically?
No, there are physical acts. First of all, we're chanting. We're putting daimoku. That's Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, that's chanting, into an area. We're creating value in that area by chanting to change it.
Right.
Whether you believe it or not, we feel that we're doing that. I am doing that.
So
the physical aspect of it is, for example, the Soka Gakkai, which is the lay organisation I belong to, have recently made a collection. They had a collection, and all the money was given to refugees.
Oh, so that's the physical thing you're doing?
Not necessarily.
As a religion?
Not necessarily. It's up to the individual. Each individual feels they can do it in a different way. So maybe somebody in Kilburn could go to the community centre and decide to have a jumble sale.
Yes.
It's up to the individual. There is no, you must do this.
It does sound like a very clean-cut thing, very individual thing that you can just pick up and take it with you and go anywhere with it, and very selfish as well.
If Jack the
It's
Ripper...
not at all selfish. It's not at all selfish. How can chanting for somebody else...
for the individual, isn't it?
If Jack the Ripper chanted to rape a few women...
Can I just answer this question? If chanting for somebody else is what you call selfish, then fair enough.
But you don't chant all the time.
If I chant for the happiness of my mother and my society and my flatmate and my boyfriend, I don't see that as selfish. If I chant for peace in my work community, because I work in the county courts and I deal with domestic violence, if I chant, as I do, for peace in that area, and to really have compassion for the people who are in quite a bad state sometimes, I can't see how that's selfish.
If Jack the Ripper chanted to rape a whole load of women, would this come about?
No.
Why not?
I'm not saying he wouldn't rape a whole load of women. What I'm saying is that chanting brings out positive potential.
Oh, so somebody could chant and he wouldn't have actually been who he was?
How do I know? That's hypothetical. I can't say what would have happened.
But you said it's
because that's his individual karma. What I'm saying is that when one chants, one brings out positive potential. There's an experience of a man who chanted for his wife to die because he was very, very unhappy, and every morning and every evening he'd sit down in front of his gohonzon and do literally like 2 hours a morning, 2 hours in the evening just for his wife to die because he was so unhappy.
Did she die?
No, she didn't. It's going to sound quite magical, but
it was positive
what
for him.
happened was, it was positive, it did work, because what happened was, he realised the anger in his life. The anger in his life was so strong, he realised that, and the opposite of anger is compassion. And it suddenly turned around, not suddenly, years after years, he realised that he had no right to want this woman to die.
You seem to be saying something.
It can, no, not necessarily. It can take.
Took him years to realise the passion.
It was a heavy number to solve. It can take 5 minutes. It can take.
You seem to be saying
years.
something that's distinguishing you very radically from other forms of meditation. You said to start with that you can bring out your own inner potential, but now you're going on to say that in fact you can bring out the inner potential of other people, and you can in fact affect all sorts of things in the physical world around you.
That's right.
And this is a much broader claim which nobody else makes. Now,
just by saying Nam-myoho Renge Kyo.
That's right. Isn't it simple?
Can you give us a demonstration? Can you give us a demonstration?
It isn't a magic word. I've
In what sense?
said that it brings out your positive attitude.
Right, you got into this, right?
We all come into deadlocks in our lives where we find that we don't know where to go. Everybody must come to, not everybody, some people are very fortunate, but I believe people must come to a deadlock in their life where they think, I don't know where to go now. I don't know what step to take, because our minds are so limited. Right. When you chant, you find that you don't limit your mind. Anything can be possible. You can achieve anything you want.
You're obviously very depressed, and it was at a bad moment that you took up chanting. Can you really say that the first time you took up chanting was for world peace? Surely it was for I want.
That was selfish.
Absolutely. I'm not denying that whatsoever. When people first start chanting, you'll have heard the Designer Buddhist title, and, you know, I chanted for a Porsche and I got one, and I chanted to have a brilliant job, and I chanted to have an amazing sex life and I got one.
Yes, we have
Everybody's
heard
heard
rather a lot of
this.
that.
Yeah, exactly. Ultimately, it doesn't matter what reason you start chanting for, because eventually the desire in your life to improve your society comes up. That could be, can I just, that could be in terms of chanting for me for peace in Kilburn and for happiness in Kilburn. Can be a troubled area.
Can I just, could you give us a demonstration?
You want to chant? Only if you chant with me.
Okay.
Okay, so it's quite easy. It's just Nam Myoho Renge Kyo.
Do we have to do anything with our hands?
Well, you can put them together.
Okay.
Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. I guarantee that if you do that for 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening...
I'm going to feel like a new person.
For 100 days, no. For 100 days.
Very tired after getting up that thing in the morning.
I'm still very
It
suspect
gives you life
about
force.
your reasons
I
for
guarantee
chanting.
that if you do that for 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening, you'll find that you do reveal a positive nature.
Can I ask you something about the book which you're talking about? Have you ever read it?
Which book are we talking about? Are we
We're
talking about Gongyo, the prayer I do in the morning? Or are we talking about the Lotus Sutra?
That's the one, sorry.
Yes, absolutely. I haven't read all of it because I've only been practicing for over 4 years, just over. There are many volumes still being translated from the original writings. I go to study lecture as much as possible because I want to obviously understand what I'm practicing. I don't want to be talking about something I know nothing about.
I'm a
I
bit
can't
worried.
say I know everything, but I'm learning.
I'm a
because
bit
life is
worried
about
that
learning.
maybe the Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism is a bit of an 80s fad in the same way that jogging was, and it might be very good for you externally and healthily, but you know, after a while people sort of forget their jogging shoes and they get thrown in the back of a cupboard. Do you think that's going to happen?
The idea which comes to
No,
my
not
head.
at all. Once one starts chanting, you've planted the seed in your life to reveal your best potential, and you don't want to let go of that. If I know that by chanting I can achieve what is right for my life and my best potential, I'm not going to let that go.
Do a lot of people, do you know of any people who started chanting and have then sort of fell by the wayside
yes,
and not carried
I
on?
do know people who have started chanting and stopped chanting.
And why do you think they've stopped chanting?
I can't say. I'm not that
Do you
person.
think
I
it was
suppose
just
we all have
apathy? Do you think it was
individual
apathy
reasons.
or what?
I don't know if it's apathy. I really couldn't say. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Buddhism, as I understood it, you sacrificed a lot to gain a lot. Now, your religion, you don't sacrifice anything. I mean, you don't have to stop the way you eat, the way you behave, anything.
Yeah, it seems to be a
it's
religion of
very
convenience.
It's
It's
very
not that
convenient.
yummy, just add
the
water
only
religion.
thing that's really stopping is the fact that you have to get up early to chant, so you don't get late for work, put your makeup on, you have a bath, and you have to chant before you go to bed.
Not just before you go to bed, start your evening.
Well, start your evening. I mean, that's the only convenience there is, but 10 minutes.
You don't give up anything in your life. You start to do what is right for your life. You maybe change your mind about things. Maybe you eat meat and then you stop eating meat because you don't feel happy about it. Can I just answer this question? You can do 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening. You can do more than that, or you can do less. I personally do the morning prayer, which is
So the only thing you
Gongyo.
give up is time.
You don't give up time, you expand your time. Obviously, you're going to find that hard to believe, but until you try it, you don't actually know. I found that since I've started chanting, I've spent less time just sitting doing nothing.
But if
so
you
the
don't
time
try
that
it
I
inside,
have
I
that I'm
know.
doing nothing...
I mean, I can try even though I don't believe what you're saying.
Yeah, you can chant even though you don't have to...
How can you have a
The
religion
thing which concerns me,
and
I'm
worship
sorry,
something?
the thing which concerns me is that you talk about chanting and you talk about changing your life in a positive way, but you haven't said what your ideals are of a positive human being, and you haven't said how this is actually going to affect your behaviour. I mean, I haven't heard any sense of ethics.
Right,
It seems to me there should be some change of lifestyle, and the number of pop stars who practice Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism is phenomenal, and it doesn't seem to make a blind bit of difference to what they do with their lives.
Right, you've said a lot of things there. Which
Well,
what do you want
ideals
to-
and lifestyle and ethics.
Right. When you chant, each individual finds their own ideal. My ideal isn't going to be the same as Pepsi's ideal. We all have our own individual lives. If I started singing Wham songs in the middle of the
So are
court, it
there
wouldn't
Nichiren
work.
Shoshu Buddhist ideals?
We do have philosophies, yes. There are philosophies, and every Buddhist tries to study them and live by them.
I mean, another point, just arising from that specific thing is, I mean, do you identify Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism with Buddhism per se? Because I know that there is quite a lot of debate among scholars as to whether Nichiren Shoshu practitioners can actually be considered Buddhists at all.
Really?
There is.
I don't know. I don't know about that. I can't deny it because I don't know.
Well, the reason for that is that...
If there's no God, then who created us?
I think that's a very individual thing. Obviously, we don't believe in God, so we don't believe it was done in 7 days. Yeah. What I believe, I may believe what's different to what other Buddhists believe because I'm an individual and I also have other thoughts.
That's handy.
Not handy, it's truth, isn't it? We all have different thoughts. Just because I chant, everybody else who chants doesn't necessarily believe exactly the same thing as me in terms of why is that wire across there? We don't all think, oh, yes.
Spaces you fill in that aren't filled
So
in.
I believe, personally, I believe in evolution. I believe that maybe we could have come from apes, maybe we came from the sea. That's my personal belief, evolution. The karma of the society created, people came about through evolution.
So what happens to you when you die?
So where does karma come from?
What's the whole, like, I mean, in Christianity, the whole goal is to achieve salvation. In Hare Krishnaism, the whole goal is to be joined with Krishna. What does the Nichiren Shoshu Buddhist want to gain eventually? Because it seems to be...
Are you asking me what happens when you die, or
no,
what
I'm
do we
saying,
want to gain?
what do you think happens? I mean, what does the Nichiren Shoshu religion
What do we
state?
think happens when we die?
Yeah.
Death is just another passage of life. It's just another phase of life. We believe that... we believe in reincarnation. So when I leave this lifetime, and this form, I'll go on for maybe a rejuvenation period, like trees during winter. Stop producing leaves, they rejuvenate. So maybe after this lifetime, after I leave this form, I'll go and rejuvenate somewhere and come back as something else.
Does that mean you can come back as an animal?
I can't say what I would come back as. Obviously,
but do you believe these can come back as animals?
Pardon?
Do you believe these can come back as animals?
I could come back as a flower. I don't know what I could come back
So,
as.
I mean,
The
you're
causes I make will determine what I come back as.
Can you give us some instances of what you've chanted for and what's happened? The way that it's changed your life?
Yes, I can. On a personal level or on a universal level?
On a universal level might be quite interesting to hear.
I've actually chanted for peace between Iran and Iraq. I'm not saying that one person's daimoku, one person chanting, has created peace, but after all these years and years of fighting, there's suddenly peace. I certainly feel that I've done something positive personally towards it.